what happens when you decide, I do want to step up to the plate, and I'm not afraid to swing, and I want to take a swing, and then you miss, then what?
And so that's the deepest belief, which is, I don't think I'm good enough. I think other people are better than me. I don't think I'm good enough. And that's the part we don't want to face.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was episode number 1375. Are you on track or off track? Today, for episode number 1376, one simple question to ask yourself before you make a decision. Alan, this is a throwback story. There was a time in my life, I was a young man, and I remember I was trying to find a better job. We have heard of my trials and tribulations of the workforce throughout this podcast. I talk about it all the time. But I remember one time somebody said to me, hey, Kev, the Dunkin' Donuts warehouse a couple towns over is hiring. And at this time, I was not making good money, and I was like, interesting. How much would that pay? And I think I found that it was like $18 an hour or something. I was like, whoa, that's like way more than I'm making now. I got to do that. But I was always too afraid to go in and get the paperwork to fill out.
We got to tell your money story at some point.
Definitely.
Another time.
Yeah, definitely.
We really
we'll
should
do like an origin story episode, but that's going to be a long one. It's going to be a long one. We'll have to do our origin stories.
Quick 20.
Yeah. Well, there's never a quick 20 with us. I was too afraid to go fill out the application. I was genuinely too afraid to go into the building, find the application, and then, apply and give them my resume and all that stuff. So I never ended up doing it. I never tried. Just didn't do it. Believe it or not, I didn't get the job because I didn't apply for it.
Total shocker.
Yeah, total shocker. That is what we're talking about in this episode. So the one simple question I really wish I asked myself before I made that decision, and this is Alan's, I can't take credit for this is Alan's question, but are you afraid to step up to the plate, or are you afraid to swing? Do you not even want to step up to the plate? Do you not want to swing? Like, what is your thought process when it comes to that? For me, I didn't even want to step up to the plate, and I didn't want to swing. I didn't want to step up to the plate and try to get this job. I did want the job. I did, but I wasn't willing to take that chance. I was too afraid. What is the original quote that you started this with?
Well, it really isn't what you said. It's
naturally it's not.
Naturally. It's essentially, are you afraid to strike out, or are you not even sure you want to swing?
That's better than what I said.
Meaning, I think that a lot of people, I was telling Kev this before we recorded, I think a lot of people have goals and dreams and things they want, things they desire, and then their highest self and their intuition says, here's the way, here's the opportunity, here's the person, place, thing, or idea that's going to get you there. And then there's this moment of courage that needs to happen. And I think what happens is a lot of people have deep fears. In this case, it was fear of failure or fear of rejection. And then they convince themselves, you know what? I didn't really want that job anyway. That is, you're afraid you're going to strike out. You want the job, but you're afraid you're going to strike out. Versus, honestly, I don't even think I want to play baseball. I don't even think I want this job. There's a big difference between this is not aligned and I'm not doing this because I'm afraid, and I'm scared, but instead of being truthful with myself and just owning that I'm scared and feeling the fear and doing it anyway, I'm going to convince myself of the story that I don't really want the job. And this happens all the time with clients of like, it's like, well, I want to start that podcast, but I don't know, maybe, I don't think it'll be worth it. It's like, honestly, I can kind of tell.
Yeah.
No. You're scared to record your first episode because you're so afraid to launch it, because you're so afraid of your friends and family judging you. I understand. It's genuinely petrifying in the beginning because you put yourself out there quite a bit versus someone who, you know what, honestly, I don't think podcasting is my thing. You can kind of tell the difference as a coach. And it's very difficult because people think that they're like, I don't think a podcast is the thing. And I'm sitting there going, you are just scared deep down. And this goes into the layers of truth. So I'll do a little example with Kev.
Oh boy.
My girlfriend Amelia, she came up with this. She calls it a tertiary truth. Primary, secondary, tertiary. So Kev, you didn't apply. So let's imagine, how old were you?
I don't know, maybe 18, 19.
Okay, so 19-year-old Kev, can I talk to him for a second?
You can try your best, son. You know?
there he goes. He gets right into character. I love it. You can try your best, son. Bring that ego back, right? It's not 19-year-old Alan who's talking to 19-year-old Kev, by the way. Because if it was, we almost fought once.
We did.
We did almost in the football field.
I would have won.
It's a story. You probably would have won.
Definitely would have won.
That's a fact.
It's not a probably, it's a definitely.
Yeah. Well, either way. That is true. Okay. But what if we did like a math competition?
You would have won.
I'm kidding. Okay, so talking to 19-year-old Kev. All right. Kev, $18 an hour, Dunkin' Donuts warehouse. What are your thoughts, man?
This is like layer one truth?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, my job's not that bad. I don't really want to have to drive here. It's 15 minutes away. You know, the gas station's like 2 minutes away. So then that's a half hour a day. I'm gonna have to wake up a little bit earlier. Nah. Not for me.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that's a tertiary truth. That's what we would call the ego, which is just excuses, and it's not true. It's not his deep actual truth. All right, so one layer deeper is your secondary truth, which requires a layer of vulnerability. So let's go one layer deeper. So what's underneath that?
I'm a little bit nervous to even apply because I don't think it'll be worth it because I don't really think I'm going to get the job.
Okay. And when you said I don't think it'll be worth it, meaning worth the drive because you don't think you're going to get the job. Yeah. Whereas if you were certain you'd get the job, you would make the drive, right? All right. Deepest truth. What is, and this is the vulnerable piece, and this isn't going to be vulnerable for Kev because he was 19 and he's shared a lot of worse things than this. Yeah. What was your vulnerable truth at the time? Now looking back, like the actual truth underneath all of this facade and ego.
I mean, the biggest thing was that, right? I genuinely do not think I'm going to get this job. I don't think I'm capable of even doing the job if I did get it. I mean, that was the biggest thing is I don't think I will be able to succeed here. I don't know if I'm good enough to even do this.
There's the deepest truth.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
Everybody that gets this job knows way more than I do. They're way more competent than I am. That was the layer one truth.
And so that's the deepest belief, which is I don't think I'm good enough.
No.
I think other people are better than me. I don't think I'm good enough. And that's the part we don't want to face.
Well, you know the other interesting thing? I forgot about this till recently. Like that Dunkin' Donuts warehouse thing, I forgot about until like this moment. I didn't think about that. But I applied to another warehouse. And it was literally like a gimme job. It should have been a gimme job. And it was like, I think it was like $9 an hour. I think I took a pay cut to try to get this job. And I couldn't get that job either. They never even called me back. So I think there was a part of me that was like, I didn't get that job. There's no way I'm going to get hired by Dunkin' Donuts for twice the amount of money.
Now that you're a business owner, you do realize how ridiculous that is. They probably just hired someone else.
Why wasn't it me?
Looked at first.
I'm capable.
Because they probably didn't even look at your resume.
I know. Well,
people, you funny.
There wasn't a lot on the resume, I'm sure. But
yeah,
think of it this way: if you strike out, I struck out. I struck out
in that case. You didn't even swing in the other one.
Well, of course, I didn't want to step up to the plate. I struck out last time. I don't want to do it again. Not interested. I'm not interested.
Because of the pain of the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what happens. If Kevin has a deep unconscious belief By the way, I want to take everyone through what just happened there. The tertiary truth is your conscious story you're telling yourself. So the story Kevin was telling himself about himself is, I don't really want the commute. It's not for me. I'm too much of a badass for that job anyway. That's the ego. That's the conscious mind. Then you've got the subconscious, which is, I don't think I'm going to get the job, so I don't think the drive will be worth it. And then the deep unconscious, the record playing underneath all that is, I'm not good enough. And even if I got the job, I don't think I'd be good enough for this. And that I'm not enough, I'm telling you, if you relate more to Kevin than me, that's because you probably have a deep belief similar. Mine isn't that. My deepest belief isn't that. I don't have the I'm not good enough thing. Mine's different. Yep. My pain comes from social. And that's the whole fear of failure versus fear of success thing and all that kind of stuff. So Kevin and I have helped each other grow to drive to 5 because his biggest weakness is my biggest strength, and his biggest strength is my biggest weakness. And every strength comes with a weakness, and that's a whole nother episode I think we're doing later this week, right?
We are, actually. Tuesday.
Yeah. So, like, if you think about you being, like, having this huge empowered strength up here, there's always, like, a double-edged sword that comes with that. Confidence, but arrogant, or humble, but, like, overly modest and never stepping up and sharing your greatness. Like, every strength comes with this, like, challenge with it. And so Kevin and I have helped each other drive to 5. But if you're out there, which part are you on? And more importantly, to get back to this episode, what's the story you're telling yourself when you have an opportunity? Yep. And you get offered an opportunity. Are you talking yourself out of it? Are you talking yourself out of it when deep down you really want to do it, but you're just afraid you're not good enough?
I've definitely talked myself out of many opportunities. I mean, less now than ever, obviously. Now it's just like, we'll find a way to figure this out. But I've had so many conversations, especially early in coaching. 2 things. One, I remember telling you very early in this that I wasn't going to coach. It's like, I'm not a good coach. I don't know how to coach. I don't want to coach. I don't like coaching. The truth was, I just didn't feel great doing it yet. I wasn't very confident as a coach. I was always scared. I even had a breakthrough recently where I've been saying this to clients, because a client came to me recently and he was like, I feel like I should be so much more prepared for this call. And I was like, you're good. Like, don't even worry about it. You're good. Don't worry. So we're going to get to where we should get to, and then we're going to figure it out. And I said, but transparently, vulnerably, I am coming out of a phase now where I assumed every single call had to be 60 minutes on the button. It couldn't be 45 minutes of value. It couldn't just be a check-in to make sure everything's going smoothly. And then I had a couple of those happen where 2 of my clients were at the car dealership, and they're like, hey, we're good. We just want to check in. I want to thank you for the last call. Like, we're good. And I said, okay, well, I have a couple ideas. I'll send them to you in an audio. But usually I would attach that to, I'm not a good coach because I didn't find a way to make 60 minutes worth of content. That's one of the it was in my head of, I'm not good. I don't want to do it. Right? Like that was something that I dealt with for a long time. A really long time. But I've seen that with other people where they get the opportunity to get like a promotion, and then they convince themselves, no, I don't even want this. Like, what do you mean? That's what we were talking about at the beginning. You've said you wanted this for the last year. But I understand, obviously, it's sometimes the thing you want scares the hell out of you when it becomes the thing you're actually capable of getting.
I know. How did you step up to the plate so many times with coaching, even though you didn't feel good enough?
I don't know.
Because I remember those conversations, and I remember being like, dude, I don't know, man. But again, I also didn't know that was my thing at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like everything else. I think
seriously, you say you didn't know you could do it, but yet you still do it. And I think that's, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's more rare than I think you realize.
Probably.
Seriously. Because Bianca does this too. It's like she doesn't believe she's going to hit her goal weight, but she still like does all the work because I think she believes that I know she'll hit it mathematically. And I just don't understand how could you show up so much and so often when you don't actually think it's going to work.
The proof,
because for me, I don't do things that I don't think are going to work.
I look at the proof. I look at the. I'm telling you, for me, I did a Instagram reel on this. One of the most powerful things for me is the recent and relevant proof. It's just, we did an episode yesterday. I did a coaching call yesterday. I'm going to try to do a coaching call today. Let me see kind of how it goes. We did a speech yesterday. Like so Alan and I have a very well compensated speech coming up, and I'm not nervous at all for that. Whatever, it's gonna be fine. I'm not worried about that at all. But that's just because we've done enough speeches at this point. I feel like we've done enough in-person speeches where I feel comfortable. I'll be nervous, but you know what it is. I know the flow of it. The night before, I'll be terrified. The day of, I'll be terrified. I'll be super serious. I'll be very focused. Once we step on stage, that'll be the peak of my nervousness, and then from there, it'll go down.
It's interesting. I'm the opposite. I'll not be concerned at all, and then we'll do it, and then after, I'll get the pain of, that could have been way better. You're like, you get the pain in advance, and then after it, you feel like $1 million. Yeah. I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I feel fine up until, and then after it, I'm like, ooh, we need to do better. And that's okay. I think it comes down to this belief system stuff in our unconscious, right? Because the record playing in Kev is this is going to go horribly wrong. Unconsciously.
Yeah.
The record playing in me is this is going to be amazing. And even sharing that is scary for me, by the way. But I'm wrong because it never goes 10 out of 10.
You're right.
And you're wrong because it never goes 0 out of 10 except for once.
Yeah. Not even that.
That's the,
even that it wasn't.
Made it work.
Yeah, we made it work. And here, I think the interesting thing about it all is usually, I don't even know how to explain this. It's almost like, although I don't have a very high level of belief, I have a very high level of standards for what I deliver. So it's almost like, in a way, I'm kind of setting myself up for anxiety and then over-delivery. In a way. And it's almost like your standards are super, super, super high. You don't think about it before, really. You're like, yeah, it's going to be fine. Even though the last one wasn't fine and the one before it wasn't fine, but it was fine for me. But for you, you probably reflected and said, we have to do way better. But you and I, this is the interesting thing. Alan and I will do the same speech on stage together, right? It's very different perspectives, obviously. This happened in Wisconsin when I was like, dude, that was awesome. We crushed that. And you're like, dude, that was terrible. And I was like, no. That was our best performed one we did. I'm certain of it. I know it. I'm certain of it. Because I can tell based on...
You're going off of...
delivery.
Okay.
Delivery.
For me, I'm going off of impact.
I know, but that's you and I in a nutshell. I'm not worried about impacting. I'm worried about, because I think the level to which I perform is the level to which I'll impact. That's my belief.
Yeah.
My name is Alex, and I am a professional videographer who runs a production company out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. The one thing that I love about working with Alan is that right away he was able to come in and set up a system for me that makes sure that I am taking charge of my time and I'm taking the actionable steps that I need in order to progress towards my goals on a day-to-day basis. When I get off the phone with him, I always find that I am energized and I am getting the most out of what I do with my time.
But for me, and this is, I don't want to go too far off the rails, but I think that you connect, if I deliver well, I'll impact well. For me, it's not that way. Because I've had speeches that I thought I crushed that people didn't like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, and that's why for me, it's like, is it well received? Because when it comes to the value of the actual speech, if anyone really heard what I was saying and took it in, it would be very valuable. I feel like the knowledge and the expertise is there. And it's the does it actually land for them? That's what I don't think I'm very good at. So I have to base it off that, because if I just base it off what I think, I'm going to think it's a great speech because it is really valuable, but it's not necessarily valuable for them because they're middle school students.
Yeah.
So like I can give a neuroscience speech, but if it doesn't land for the middle schoolers, it doesn't matter.
Well, this is
and again, I don't want to go too far off the rails here.
This is a really good, it's just another layer for you if you're listening of, okay, what happens when you decide, I do want to step up to the plate and I'm not afraid to swing and I want to take a swing, and then you miss, then what? Then it's like, there's another layer of, okay, how do I approach that? For me, I mean, in the first warehouse job, I didn't get it, so I didn't want to step up to the plate again. I didn't want to step up. I didn't want to. I didn't want to step up to the
avoid
plate.
pain.
Yeah, because I struck out.
What did it mean when you struck out, though? Because that's what I think we got to
swing and a miss.
Connect here.
Swing and a miss.
Swing and a miss. Does it mean that you're not good enough? Is it evidence to the?
Yeah.
Is it the proof?
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It was a gimme job. I mean, it was like a very, very basic warehouse position where I should have got the job.
But for all you know, they just hired someone.
Well, I'm sure they definitely hired someone else. It wasn't me.
Because for a gimme job, they're just going to grab the first application off the top.
I was shiny, though. I'm here to deliver.
But what if, and this is for our listeners, if Kev unconsciously, him not getting that job means he's not good enough, of course you're going to avoid any evidence to that.
Of course.
So it makes sense. But that'll also keep you stuck forever.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the recent...
How do we break this cycle?
The recent relevant proof thing. Okay, think of it this way. Say you have an opportunity and you don't take it because you're afraid you're going to fail. The next time, this is what's going to happen. If you're looking at the most recent proof, so the most time-appropriate proof, so last time I had the opportunity to get a new job, what did I do? And the relevant proof of like, what did I actually do? And what was the result? Last time I didn't try and I didn't get it. You have to break the cycle between, I'm going to do the same thing this time. No, that's not... The recent relevant proof you're looking for actually disproves that what you did last time is the way to do it. Just like, okay, I bombed a speech one time. I showed up with a flashcard with 5 points, and I was like, this is going to get me through 45 minutes. It's going to be no problem. 15 minutes in, there was kids doing push-ups on the floor. That's the easiest way to...
And you almost lost.
To say it. I almost lost. And, okay, next time, the most recent proof. So Alan and I get another speech. The most recent proof is the last speech I did. Right? It was 3 months ago. Okay, the most relevant proof is last time I did this, I approached it negatively. I need to change that. And then I prepped really, really, really hard. That. Now, why did I bomb that speech in the first place? Because the first speech I prepped a ton for. The second speech, my recent and relevant proof was last one wasn't that hard. This is going to be fine. Wrong, son. You're wrong.
Yeah, that was a lack of humility.
It was, yeah.
I think this is very vulnerable for us. I know we got to jump. I think you're optimizing not to fail more than you're optimizing to win.
It depends on the things. Now, I understand that. It depends on the things for me. Like,
do you think most people are optimizing not to fail? And I'll explain what that means.
I would say so. If you don't believe in yourself, you're most likely optimizing not to fail.
Okay, what optimizing not to fail means is you're basically making decisions unconsciously that will minimize the risk of you looking bad or being rejected. If I just want to share this, I don't do that. If I did that, we would be in serious trouble because most of the things we do, we look bad and get rejected.
Yeah.
And so just hopefully our listeners can flip that script. You've done a good job at that, but you're not teaching how to do it.
I don't know how to teach it yet. Honestly.
Okay.
Because, Alan, the way I learned is you just put me under massive pressure and I just survived. I'm not saying that's wrong. That's what needed to happen. So for me, I don't have the playbook yet. Like, I understand it's small things, setting small goals, keeping small promises. I understand that. And like self-assigning the good stuff that you do, owning the stuff that you're not that great at yet. Like, that's all important. But I don't know because I was just put under a massive amount of weight and it was like, lift this.
What about the podcast speech? Did you do that yet? So Brandon got us
No, I have a call with them tomorrow.
Speech at a podcast community?
Yeah, I have a call with them tomorrow.
Okay, so talk to us about that real quick. Because I'm not going to be there.
I'm not worried at all about that.
But what's ironic is that in order to get to a place where you're not worried at all, it took you
1,400 episodes.
1,400 episodes.
That's the interesting thing. Is look at the proof I have. Here's the interesting thing. This is the interesting thing. The conversation so for context, there's a group with 40,000 members or something, and Brandon reached out and said, hey, this is Kev, and he's a podcast coach and all this. He'd love to add value, do a speech, whatever. I don't know what's going to come of it. But they are thinking more about my results than who I am. That's the only reason I'm even getting this meeting is because of this podcast. It's not me. I'm not going to take that internally and say, oh, they didn't want to do the call, I'm terrible. It's just because they're basing that off the podcast more than anything. The results we have are one of the reasons we get the opportunities we get.
I don't know how that's any different. That's always the case, right?
Yeah, well, it's not when you don't have any results, because then you own it as your own, in a way.
We'd do an episode on that at some point, because that goes back to, like, are they judging? It's almost like you treat it differently when it has to do with you versus external things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's holding people back. I don't think I separate those. Like, the podcast is our work. That is a reflection of who we are.
But they're not going to listen to the podcast. They're not listening to the... No. They might, but...
Some of the audience will.
Yeah, but it's not... I feel really good about this. I'm not worried about that. It's just when people... I've gone on so many podcasts where there'll be something they say that's a tell that they have no idea what I do. Somebody yesterday said,
I remember that.
I really enjoy listening to you and your guests. It's like, well, I know you don't listen to the podcast because we haven't had a guest in like 2 years. Again,
bold-faced lie.
Yeah, it's okay. No worries. I
but
understand.
Maybe they went to an old one. Who knows?
They didn't. I could tell by the way they said it. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care. But I know they're not actually listening to the show. I know they just see the results of the show. It's that interesting.
Why does that change for anything for you? Why?
Because if anything, I'm going to over-deliver. In my mind.
Okay.
If you've never heard me speak, if you've never heard me coach.
Oh, so you know they have low expectations. Or
kind of. I think their expectations are probably under.
Meaning you're going to over-deliver.
I think we're better than our results actually show.
Okay.
You know, like, yeah, we have 1,400 episodes and we'll be over 1 million downloads this year. Awesome. That's great. But like, my deep belief is we should be way further along in terms of our competence.
Agreed.
I think we're really good at what we do, humbly. That.
Okay, what would be the case if they were expecting, like, what would be the opposite? I don't understand.
The opposite?
Yeah, like what would make you scared of this where you aren't sure you want to swing? Or if you tell yourself a story you don't want to swing.
If I was going up against, if there was me and 4 other speakers who were more quote unquote successful than us.
That wouldn't affect me at all.
I know, but it affects the audience.
I just want to understand why.
It affects the audience. It's not that it affects me necessarily. I just understand how it affects the audiences. What I say will be the least valuable. Even if it's the most accurate. And again, for the audience, like, we're digging layer, this is a layer of a layer of a layer, but a lot of this is the thought process. You have your own. It's not in podcasting. We just talk about podcasting. It's the thing that we practice the most.
So you're still optimizing not to lose then? I would
in a way, yeah.
So let's say it was you, James Clear, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, and I don't know, Ed Milet or whatever. And like, you'd be more scared?
Definitely.
Why?
Because I'm not the podcast guy anymore. Not compared to them, I'm not.
Oh.
Just like...
I feel like if anything, I would do better.
Maybe.
Because I would be pumped that I have competition. And I'm not saying... I mean, the audience wouldn't necessarily think I'm better. I'm not saying that, because I think, obviously, perception matters. But it's just interesting, and I think what I'm trying to do for the listeners to bring this back is maybe Kevin and I having authentic conversations like this can help you see where you fall in this.
Yeah.
Because, Kev, my fear would not increase or decrease whatsoever in both of those scenarios. It wouldn't change anything for me. I would just go do my best and then afterwards realize that I sucked and get better.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid that.
You're trying to avoid sucking?
More than necessary, yeah. Of course. No reason to take an L just to take an L.
But L's are wins.
Yeah, but you can also win and take an L.
Yeah. Because there's a percent amount of L. I see.
It's like I want a 75% W and a 25% L. And that's a 80-20. Give me 80%.
I mean, ideally you want 99-1.
I know, but I know that's not going to happen.
You realize it's not possible.
But it's almost like for you, you're the opposite. Like you're good with 80% L, 20% win. It's like, well, I like the way I said that word. That was really powerful. Like everything else, though, probably for the trash. When neither of those are really true.
You know what I found out? You're optimizing for, I think, the way the audience will receive it, but also the way you feel about your own performance.
Definitely.
I'm not optimizing for the way I feel about my own performance. I'm optimizing for long-term mastery, which is whatever's going to get me to be a better speaker ultimately, which is probably why I get excited to speak next to them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's going to make me better. Even if I suck in the moment, I don't care about that. That's fine. I just want to be a better speaker ultimately. So it's just time perspective, I think, underneath all this.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're trying to protect from failure. I'm trying to ultimately succeed, and so I have to fail more along the way.
And it's almost like you're capable of receiving more failure too.
Yes.
Because
it won't stop me from continuing. Right. And that's what we've talked about in the past too. So maybe we should, I think something in this should be an episode. I'll ask you after, but
I'm going to have to listen back to figure out what exactly this is I don't know if there's a better representation of how to understand yourself at a deeper level other than to have a conversation like this. Because even though it wasn't directed towards you if you're watching or listening, that was really Alan and I exploring our awareness in real time. And it's like, oh, interesting. That's how I've gotten to where I am. That's how Alan's gotten to where... Okay, what can you take away from that? If you resonate more with me than Alan, you most likely are under with self-belief. Yeah. Most likely. And I would argue your goals are probably too big right now, and that's why you're not taking action on them. Because I never would have done my first speech that soon. Never. Never, 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 never. The second speech I ever gave was on a giant stage on the 14th floor of a fancy hotel in Florida with Eddie Pinero, Evan Carmichael, Catherine Nash. Never would have happened. That never would have been the second speech I did, or second time on stage. It wasn't really a speech, it was an interview. Never.
Yeah, it's wild. You were, it's for the listeners, where do you fall in all this? Are you, because if you think about it, that's a self-fulfilling stuck place. Yeah. Because it's almost like you have to do something outside of what you would normally do in order to get proof that you never would have got. Because you obviously were capable of it. I mean, I have the proof. We did it, right? So I always say this, and I'm joking, but I also mean it. Like, obviously, I was more accurate about you than you were about yourself, because you're obviously, you are more capable than you thought. I mean, isn't that obvious now? Yes.
But again, there's the fine line of some days I didn't know if I was going to make it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like, I don't know. That's why sometimes I say I don't even know if it's weird for me to be where I am. Because looking back, it's like, dude, you know how much anxiety I had to going and doing that speech?
Yeah, that's true.
God, it was brutal. I bet. And like, Taryn is there, traveling with us to Florida. The team is flying in. I'm picking people up at the airport. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
It was a wild time, huh?
We're broke.
We were taking quantum leaps those days.
It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
But
hindsight is 2020.
Hindsight is 2020. I hope this was valuable to you if you're watching or listening. I know this is a little bit different, but this is a very hyper-conscious episode. Because it's not, to Alan's point, this is why growth is so hard, because you kind of need somebody there doing this with you. Imagine if I just did a solo episode, none of that would have happened.
Yeah.
That would have been, this is my story about Dunkin' Donuts. oh, maybe I would have connected. I applied at another warehouse and I didn't get it. That would have been the flow of the episode versus, Kev, can you explain this? Oh, Alan, this is you need somebody, you would benefit from having somebody in your life who you can talk about deep shit with. Pardon my French.
Definitely. As long as they actually want what's best for you, regardless of themselves, which find someone with high self-belief who is humble, which is very hard to find, by the way.
It is.
But this community has a ton of people that have high self-belief that are humble.
Yes.
We have some team members that are so much that. It's crazy.
We have very exciting news. We have, as of last night, Group 10 for group coaching ended. Group 11 is starting on July 11th, and we have redesigned. It was Alan, myself, and the wonderful Jesse on a call last night redesigning the entire itinerary of this group coaching. So we are very excited. Ground up redesign based on feedback, based on the last 10 groups. We've done this many, many times. We want to make sure it's as valuable as humanly possible. So if you want to be one of the first 10 people to experience this new group coaching style, please click the link in the show notes. It starts July 11th. We have a discount code for members of Next Level Nation, the amazing community. Just reach out to myself and or Alan, Kevin at nextleveluniverse.com, Alan at nextleveluniverse.com, and ends up being, I believe, $96.60 per month after the discount code. So please reach out.
So if you have an iPhone, imagine going back to the very first iPhone and comparing it to the one you have. So this is the iPhone 14 in front of me. So that means 14 iterations of iPhone have come out. And the very first iPhone was 2007 when Kevin and I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. And in comparison, it would not even be close. That's what Group 11. Imagine that's the iPhone 11. We have revamped this thing and redesigned this thing and improved this thing. I mean, the curriculum is just world class. We really hope you join us. And Brenda, we hope you join us again. I think she's going to do another round. All right, we also have a monthly meetup on the first Thursday of every month, which is going to be July
7th.
6th?
I think it's
7th?
July 7th. No, July 6th. You're correct.
July 6th, and I'm going to read you what's on the website. The monthly meetup is a way for you to get to know the Next Level family, ask questions, and increase your knowledge in key areas of your life. Also, the monthly meetups are not recorded nor posted anywhere. That is to create a safe space for everyone to learn and reach the next level. The reason those are not recorded is because it's a place where you can talk about things very vulnerably, very honestly, very openly, that maybe you have shame or guilt, or if you don't talk about the real stuff, you never solve the real stuff. And it's a safe space where people do talk about the real stuff they're going through. Family challenges, intimate relationship challenges, self-belief challenges, self-worth challenges. I hope that you join us for our next monthly meetup. The link to the landing page will be in the show notes.
Tomorrow for episode number 1377, two of the biggest growing pains. We have talked about growing pains so many times on this podcast, whether it's our own clients, people we know, but we kind of broke down growing pains into two categories, two buckets. So we will talk about that tomorrow. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep swinging. Next Level Nation.